This is smooth sumac. Its pointy clusters of bright red berries are edible. They have a sour, tangy flavor, which can be used to make a lemonade type drink. But before we harvest any, it's important we know how to identify the plant properly. Smooth sumac grows natively in the eastern United States, as far south as Florida and as far north as Canada. And it likes to grow in sunny, open areas like fields, on the edges of forests, but you'll often see it on the side of the road or at the top of an embankment on the freeway, where it grows in large clusters. It usually grows about 6 to 10 feet tall, but it can occasionally get twice that size. The leaves form a canopy at the top of the plant, leaving the stems underneath almost bare. I used to love exploring underneath these when I was a kid. It makes like a little miniature jungle. It has compound leaves with usually about 15 or more leaflets, which grow in pairs opposite each other along the stem, with one terminal leaflet at the tip. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. The leaves are shiny and dark green at the top and a pale green on the bottom, with a serrated edge and an overall shape of a lance or a spear tip. Long and narrow, coming to a nice fine point. The leaves turn a brilliant red in autumn. They're even used as a decorative plant sometimes. It flowers in late spring with pointy clusters of lime green flowers, which are very small. It produces the berries around midsummer, and here in Minnesota in late July they turn a brilliant red. And some of them actually get frosted with a sort of icing. And that's a great time to harvest. We call them berries, but they're really more like seeds. The fuzzy coating on the seeds can be slightly irritating on the throat, but we actually filter those out in the process of making our Sumac-Ade. But the berries can also have little hairs left over from the flowers, so they're kind of a messy food. You can just snack directly on the berries. They're very sour, but they're really good. They're kind of slightly sweet, almost like a lemon. I usually just suck on the flavor a little bit and then spit out the seeds. The berries can also be dried and made into a sort of spice, which seems to be a bit of a trend right now. It's even been used by Native Americans in a tobacco blend. Native Americans would also eat the young shoots as a salad green. And wildlife like deer will graze on the leaves and the berries. It's important to harvest any wild edible responsibly so that you don't over-harvest. Luckily, with smooth sumac, it's fairly common and widespread, so you should be able to harvest as much as you need. I'm just harvesting one berry cluster with a little pruners so I don't damage the plant, and that should make about 3 or 4 glasses of our Sumac-Ade. One source recommended that you rinse these first to wash off any bugs, but I feel like that would rinse off more of the flavor. And if you're worried about bugs, you're probably not foraging for wild edibles. And I'm pruning off these individual clusters just so we don't have to deal with that large, bulky stem. I'm using my French press, which I normally use for coffee, but I've cleaned it really well, and we're going to use that to filter out all the little fuzz and the hairs off of those berries. And we'll pour over some nice cool water and let it soak for at least 2 hours or overnight, occasionally stirring or muddling to extract more of that sour flavor. Alternatively, you could use boiling water and make a sort of tea, but that'll get rid of the sour flavor and it'll have more of a savory flavor, which is still very good. You can even make that all throughout the winter. Once our Sumac-Ade has steeped for a few hours, I'm going to filter out all those little berries with our French press. It's kind of tangy and sour. It's very similar to lemonade.
That's good.
And this is a really refreshing summer drink. So I'm serving this on ice. And I'm gonna sweeten mine with a little bit of honey. Could also use sugar or any other sweetener. And to punch up that flavor just a little bit, I'm adding some lemon juice.
Yummy.
I saw a bunch of recipes online that were dark red, but I think those have been dyed. I'm not really into artificial dyes. I don't want to trick anybody into thinking they've done it wrong. If you make this at home, it's not going to be bright red. And that is how to make Sumac-Ade. Really, really simple. Makes an excellent summer beverage, very similar to lemonade. So let me know in the comments if you're going to try this yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.